Yeah, I went for an interview, Manchester Evening Times. Yeah, something like that. So let's do this, do this team. Take my hand, ba 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 da boom, then be. My show's still on tour. Um, Doing well. Big audiences, enjoying it, enjoying the music, the spectacle, the story, performers. Obviously, multi-talented people love the performers in the show. Um, I was lucky enough to help out with the casting, so that's a great thing. Um, yeah, it's just I'm hoping that after this run we get to go again and kind of maybe hit up the capital city a bit more. But let's see what happens. The text is in print. Some of the are in print. So yeah, there we go. Hello.
Hi, is that Conrad?
Yeah, speaking.
Hi, it's John Anson calling from the Lancashire Telegraph, Conrad.
Hi, man.
How are you?
Yeah, good, man. All good.
Jolly good. I hope you're expecting a call from me.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, well, you never quite know with these things, so that's great. It's just to have a quick chat, really. Obviously, we've got the unexpected twist coming up to the Lowry, so it was just to do a bit of a preview on that, really, if we can.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I mean, it sounds to me like a fascinating work of theatre. There's so many elements to this, aren't there, that bring it together. It must be great to be part of something like this.
Yeah, really exciting because the creative team, like James Dacre, Roy Williams, and then like Michael Rosen is like fully on board. It's super exciting, and kind of being able to bring what I bring, which is quite new and experimental in a way, to something like this was work exciting. Also, I got to be part of the casting process as well, so that's always like really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it almost takes a sort of brave company to involve you in a way, because as you say, it is new what you do. You're bringing a whole new dimension to it, and it's one of those in theory that you could have a sort of a discussion about and think, yeah, this might work. But to actually bring it to fruition is slightly different, isn't it? It takes some courage on their part to say, yeah, let's go with this. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, because it being all vocals and beatbox, that's not done quite a lot. I mean, it's hardly ever done apart from in shows that I make or I work on.
Yeah.
So yeah, like props to them because it is a bit different, and also I guess like audiences don't know what we're about to experience. People that people that watch theatre all the time don't know how to even talk about it because they're like, what is this? Is this a musical? Is it a play? Like what? And also may not be kind of like that familiar with like listening to rap and listening to this kind of stuff. But it's kind of what we want. We want new kind of forms, new ideas, fresh that will bring in different audiences, diverse audiences. And what's cool about it is usually that stuff starts and stays in London, but we're actually touring the whole of the UK first.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's great, isn't it? And also, to a lot of theatre audiences, this is very strange. They don't know how to react. And as you say, they don't even perhaps understand the language of rap and the way the message gets across. But there is a whole audience out there that gets this straight away, and they're the younger people, aren't they, who usually may not come to the theatre. So it's that great way of connecting with this new audience, isn't it?
Yeah, like the kids and the young people that do come are saying, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Like this is sick. Like, and some of them that do have reference point. Like this is better than Hamilton. And obviously, I'm not Hamilton is an amazing piece of work, such an amazing piece of work. But for them, it's relevant because it's set in a British school. It's British. It's like more closer to grime. It's our vernacular. It's British voices doing what we do here and what they maybe hear on Spotify, hear on Apple Music, see on TV. But in the theatre, somehow it's kind of we block out the current world. you know, especially musical theatre, it becomes like well, it is a pastiche of a style that keeps going. But at one point, musicals represented the songs they heard on the radio, on the songs that people
Yes.
were singing. But
Yeah.
over time, it's become a style in itself, which is kind of a bit absurd. And like, obviously, that's such a hard market to break into because now people know what to expect. But there is loads of people who want new stuff, who are like, wow, this is so refreshing. Like it's like the music I listen to, but in the show, and it's like, well, that's what
Yes. Yeah.
musicals are supposed to be. Like you study, you like
Yeah.
read about musicals, what they were. It's just that somehow that they've become a bit stale. And I love musicals, I love that form, but I also
Mm.
love hip hop and I love rap, and it's like, why not? Why
Mm.
aren't those things in there? Shakespeare was poetry. It's very lyrical. It's very fast with that amount of words you got to listen to. There's no reason why people can't rap, why they can't use kind of the modern language of the day and the styles. That being said, not many people also add on the fact that it's all live and beatbox and sing all the instruments. But why not?
But I was intrigued by that. I mean, obviously, you say you've been involved in the casting, and I would think that's almost essential because can anybody do this? Can anybody beatbox and can anybody rap? Or are you looking for a special type of performer?
I think it helps if you find someone who that's what they do, that they do it in
Mm.
and out, and they got the kind of flow. But I do think as long as you've got as long as you've got timing, then
Mm.
anyone can do it. Like because we took the whole cast on boot camp. Like when you see the cast, the age range is from like was 17 to I wouldn't like to say, but it's getting up
Yeah,
there.
more than 70.
Yeah, and yet everyone and a lot of we've got some people where this is their first big production, and we've got some tenured
Yeah.
actors, and some of the the kind of like the people with experience have never beatboxed or rap before, and it's not their language. But we took everyone on a boot camp because I run the BAC Beatbox Academy.
Yes. Yeah.
I took them on a boot camp, and everyone was learning to beatbox and do it, and like anyone can get those skills. It's actually just a form. I think that sometimes people get scared because as if it's part of a culture that they're not part of.
Mm.
But
Mm.
that kind of like is a bit makes it this kind of other thing. It is it's just as skillful as ballet. It's just as skillful as a classical instrument to beatbox
Absolutely.
or to do these things. And if people say it's not, then I'd say, well, try and master it. It's going to take you a long time. A lot like everyone can do it, but to master it. But the beautiful thing about it is we all have a voice. We don't need the instrument. You haven't got to unpack it and then put it away again. You can do it on the tube. You can walk along, kind of just practicing a full voice if you want, under your breath, whatever.
Mm.
But anyone can do it because it's just a human voice. And the cool thing is about people at different ages, people at different sizes. We can give the tools to how to do the sounds, how to practice. But it doesn't matter. However, whatever I do, the different sounds come out of people's mouths. And sometimes, often I'm like, well, I can't do what you're doing there. I can't do that sound because the
Yes.
way that your
Yeah.
teeth are, the way that your mouth is, and that it sounds amazing. Yours sounds more like a synthesizer than I ever could, and people are kind of amazed, like, oh, I can do that. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's exploring the mouth and the breath in just in a different way.
Mm. But I mean, once you've got that, also it makes it a lot easier for production, doesn't it? You don't need sort of loads of kit, and you don't need musicians, and you don't, in one way it makes it simpler, doesn't it? Everything you've got is in that package of the actor on stage, and they can, once they've got the confidence and the technique, they can do it, can't they?
Yeah, because they can shift genre, they can shift texture. You can say, can you kind of make it a bit darker? Can you bring in some more environmental sounds? And it can just shift bang. You haven't got to like, go to other sound effects even. Like
Yes.
everyone's and because we're scoring all the sound effects as much as we can on stage as well. Um,
Right.
so yeah,
Wow.
it makes it much easier. Obviously, I would give props to our sound team because all
Yes.
those
Yeah.
microphones live on stage is
Yeah.
not it's not totally easy, but there is a kind of a durability that you have more kind of like malleability constantly on stage and
Mm.
playing and moving with the sounds of the voice
Mm.
than you wouldn't get if it was just all players.
Mm. I mean, the boot camp. How long were they? How long were they in the boot camp for? How long did it take?
Well, I was actually in rehearsals for I think it was 5 weeks.
Right.
So we would do. It started off more intense with like just like days of beatboxing, singing,
Yes.
and then we
Yeah.
did it. So then it was part of every day before. like that say acting or doing script
Yes.
work.
Yeah.
They would just do it
Right.
just to keep the confidence there and keep it up.
Mm. Mm. I mean, how did you sort of work in terms of bringing all that into the production? Because obviously there is a work of theatre going on here. There is a story being told. So it's not just down to you and your performers and what they're saying. So it's matching it up with Michael Rosen and everything else. How did that work? Did you literally take the script away and start thinking how you could put your spin on it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I would say that because Roy Williams adapted the Michael Rosen story into a script,
Yes. Yeah.
and so he did put in story beats where he thought a song might work.
Right.
Um,
What, like song in here, please?
yeah, yeah, basically. Um,
Fair enough.
and he picked he you know it's Roy Williams. He's an amazing writer, so he knows what he's doing. But
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
you could look across and say, hey, I think there could be this sound, this score here, this song
Mm.
here, music here, and he's very kind of he's not someone that's like that's my script, it doesn't change.
Yeah. He's not precious about it.
No, which is great, which is why he is who he is and why he's so brilliant. So
Mm.
yeah, you just look at the story, and I'm sure, like, even when reading his first draft, I was thinking, wow, it must be quite difficult to take the novel and do that,
Mm.
and then think songs fit here, because the
Mm.
actual original book is quite for it's a Michael Rosen book, but it's quite hard hitting that story. It's such a
Oh
good
yeah.
story.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the other good thing about it, though, isn't it? It's not some sanitized, twee little production that's got some music against it. It speaks the language of the streets in so many ways, doesn't it? Both from what you're adding to it, but also the subject matter as well. It's what a lot of kids, unfortunately, are facing at school, and I think it's a wake up call a little bit to parents and those who aren't aware of it. What can be going on sometimes underneath?
I think so, yeah, because we're talking about that temptation of getting drawn into kind of gangs, county
Mm,
lines, contraband. I think
mm,
there could be an essence of a parent think why is that in a show,
yeah.
but it's going to create a good conversation because actually it's
Mm,
often kids who are maybe not who are a bit more vulnerable, or on the other side of the spectrum they haven't spoke about it at home, unaware, that are more likely to get sidelined into doing things that they don't even realize they're part of a much bigger thing, and it becomes a lot more serious.
yes,
So
yeah.
the show becomes, almost like an educational tool, which all shows should be anyway, about teaching us about ourselves and about
Mm,
society. But it's definitely really important for young people because, there a lot of young people have got a lot of poverty at home and struggling at the moment. Things are getting slightly harder, and you know what? Even if they're not getting so much harder, the kind of zeitgeist is it's getting hard. It's getting hard. People worrying about maybe what their parents are going through. In an our story, the reason why Shona starts getting involved with these bad characters, our Fagin-esque characters, is
yes,
because her dad is struggling, and she wants to fit in because she's the outsider, because
yeah,
she's always moving because they're poor. So there's that double bind. Often when you have those other complications, you are not your character can slightly become a bit weakened. The judgment calls that you might make are
mm,
not they're not kind of like what you might make if you didn't have all these other things to kind of deal with. So I think that I do think it's such a it's the fact is that the Dickens story has lasted this long is because it is such a good story. The musical, the original Michael Bart film is so
yeah,
good, but it's because the songs are really fun and upbeat. But actually, when you see what's going on, it's like manipulation, it's domestic
yeah.
violence.
There's violence.
It
There's poverty.
it
There's
it,
there's
it doesn't.
coercion. There's all
Yeah,
sorts of things going on. Yeah.
it's and like you feel so sorry for Nancy. Like, as a kid, I had such a crush on Nancy, and
Oh yeah, that was terrible when Nancy got. That was just.
and
You're watching this happy musical, and then it's like Nancy. Where's Nancy gone? Oh,
yeah, yeah, and it's clearly a family film, but
mm,
it doesn't patronize the audience. All those different. I think sometimes now we're scared to, like, if it's a family show, it stays here. If it's like there, but actually the show is for everyone, because at the end of the day, if mum and dad don't like it, they're not going to tell their neighbors. You should take your kids to do this. They're gonna be like, I was bored to tears, mate. So so it's it's kind of got those layers for everyone.
yeah. But also, hopefully, it's as you say, it becomes a conversation starter, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So you know, I envisage, I would hope that different generations of the same family will go to this. You know,
Yeah,
kids will go with parents, and at the end of it, even if parents aren't quite sure about some of it, they may for the first time ask their kids about the world. Is it like that at school for you? You know, is the pressure on you, that kind of stuff that they wouldn't otherwise ask? It could be a way in, couldn't it?
definitely that important that conversation starter, because there aren't many things. Often what kids are looking at on YouTube or experiencing at school, it's all very separate. You know, we all know what it's like. You don't really know how to talk to your parents about stuff. When you're all in the same room experiencing it, it's almost like a safe space afterwards, because
Yes.
you're just talking about
Yeah.
the show. And is it like that? Do you know, it's a kind of an easier way in to be like, you know, are
Yes.
things
Yeah.
really like this?
Mm. And it might be that this is the opportunity the kids have been waiting for, to actually try and discuss something that's worrying them, and they don't know how to bring it up. But this gives them, as you say, that safe space, the way in, isn't it?
Yeah, totally, totally. And I don't think there's many shows that are doing this. I mean, like even when we're making the show, there's not a massive reference point for the overall form and show that we've created. Like like we've created something unlike we've all seen before. So
Mm.
it's interesting to see how people take it on. I think some people talk, you know, it's the grittiness of the story they talk about. Other people really focus on the music because it's like something they've never heard before or seen delivered
Yeah.
before in that way, and that's great. You want it to be multi-layered, not just kind of one thing. Sometimes,
Mm. But also, it's showing what can be done, doesn't it? So,
yeah,
I mean, that's very much your mission, isn't it? You know, to try and show there are different ways of getting the message across. There are different ways of doing theatre and bringing in a way of speaking and a way of touching on issues that perhaps are relevant. Which, as you know, we said at the start,
like
some
new,
of these musicals are not.
they-
They're very good, but are they relevant?
they're not.
No, they're
Yeah,
more museum pieces away, aren't
they,
they?
they are museum. They are on a world that doesn't exist anymore. Musical
Yeah,
forms that don't exist anymore. It's like in musicals, we've got the jukebox musical. But musicals in themselves have become a jukebox musical. Like the West
yes,
End in itself is a jukebox musical.
yeah,
Um, so it doesn't really make any sense. I reckon that, you know, there will be a change because there needs to be new audiences. The
mm,
audiences are, you know,
mm,
audiences kind of get older, and you want more young people and young creatives to think like,
yeah,
this is a place for me to play as well.
mm,
And you know, 'cause I love those musicals that I'm saying are jukebox musicals, but you want to see new things. You want to see everyone wants to see that excitement. I mean, and as an audience member, be part of something when things are changing, when there are new things. And as a
mm,
creator, you want to kind of push the boat out. But also, there is something to be said for diversity of voices and kind of different sounds and cultures
yeah,
to come in, because that's the country that we are, and that's
mm,
how we should be. And people want to go and see and kind of also recognize stuff that they know and feel safe to go
yes,
and think, oh, I can go watch that,
yeah,
other than feel kind of alienated. And hopefully, we're kind of, you know, doing that, or at least help being part of the kind of a way to pave the way to inspire even the young people in the audience to think, yo, these performers look like me, or you know,
mm,
I like this. I could do some of this, and you know what?
yeah.
I'd love it if you know if people even thought they could do better. Great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question for you, I suppose. Is where do you go from here? You know, I mean, you have various things in the pipeline, I suspect, but you know, with something like this, you become Mr. Beatbox musical in a way. um, you know, have you had other sort of companies and theatres coming to you and saying, right, what can we do next? What's the next step with this?
Yeah. I've actually been asked to do like a Romeo and Juliet,
Wow.
and also been asked actually to do a different Michael Rosen poetry
Right.
book.
Mm.
um, so yeah, and I'm also working on. I've got two other kind of like hip hop beatbox musicals. I've got one based on our original story, but it's based on the Pied Piper,
Uh-huh.
and also one based on Mary Shelley's book, The Last Man. It's the book that
All right.
she wrote after Frankenstein,
Yes, yeah. Wow.
which I don't know if you know the book. It's based on a worldwide pandemic that kills everyone that comes from China, and the Prime Minister of the UK says it will never come here. It's like what? What?
That's getting a bit scary, isn't it? When you start? You do wonder sometimes, don't you, how things go? But I mean, what a great premise for you to take on, because
Yeah,
it works on so many levels,
it's
doesn't
insane. I was like life is imitating art. What the hell?
it? If you set up with that as a storyline, people go, "Nah, don't be stupid. That's never going to work."
Yes, totally.
No, I just think it's great what you're doing, and I just love the fact that you're bringing a new voice and you're adding to that sort of canon of work. I mean, I suppose we've had it a little bit with, you look at Six, for example,
Yeah,
how that's just gone absolutely ballistic worldwide.
yeah,
And
that's
it's
great.
just doing something a little bit different, isn't it?
Yes,
I mean, yeah, it's a musical, but it's the best history lesson I've ever been to. And I've got a history degree, and I learned more about
sick.
Henry VIII from Six than I did from going to university.
That's
But
great.
it's being able to open up people's eyes and open up people's minds, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, in different ways, and their scope for kind of society, nature, and themselves. And it's about kind of doing what's honest to you, not worrying about, kind of. I think when you start worrying about what's been done and fitting into something that's already there,
Yeah.
putting a square into a shape of a star doesn't fit. You know what I mean? So you just keep doing your square and hope that people will listen. And that's kind of what I've been doing for a long time. And it's nice when it's kind of recognized and people start listening and you're seeing more other voices being recognized and you feel like okay, things are starting to shift,
Yeah.
and it's a nice feeling. And it's also it is sometimes I think people think, oh, what, you're trying to tear it down. It's like, no, I actually love those shows. I love the theater. That's why I'm doing it, because when you study all these other practitioners, they were also changing things as well. They were the voice of their times. They were bringing in all those different voices. For me to copy what they did, it's been nothing like my heroes.
Yes. Yeah. You have to stay true to yourself, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
always.
No, that's great. Conrad, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I know the show's going to go down really well in Manchester. I think it's caused a bit of a storm, really. I think audiences, as you say, don't quite know what to expect, but when they get there, I think it's going to blow the socks off. So I think it's going to be
Definitely.
great.
Cool, man. Cheers. Good to chat.
And you take care of yourself.
See you, man.
See you now.
Bye.
Bye bye.